Hello, and welcome to episode 28 of Chapter 1. We're already off topic. 3 women, 1 podcast, and after reading this set of chapters, we're beginning to wonder if maybe we did our marriage ceremony wrong. I'm Mary.
I'm Catherine. As a heads up, we never know what she's going to say in these introductions. So sometimes they make me chuckle. Sorry, go ahead.
This week, every week I'm like, how unhinged do I want them to be? This week, we are covering chapters 18 through 33 of The Poison Daughter, which we might need a fan for this episode. I'm not sure. There's a lot of heat in this episode, in this set. But before we dive in, what is everybody having?
So for our snack, we're having let me pick up one that I'm not eating. We're having London Fog cookies, and it's a recipe that I just tried it for the first. I do Earl Grey cookies, but these are London Fog, and it's a different recipe than I've used, and they really spread. So they're a little crispier than what I normally do, but they're still they're good. I like them. And then I have like a
chai tea cinnamon
Earl Grey. Cinnamon kind of creamer, but it's good. It's very good.
And I actually have a different drink. I have the Irish breakfast tea with the butter pecan creamer. It's really good.
I am doing a hot cinnamon tea latte I did whipped cream and cinnamon on top. It's feeling fancy. And then I'm having some of my husband's strawberry shortcake cake that I made him for his birthday.
How was it?
It turned out really good, so I didn't screw it up too bad. I felt like I was screwing it up. I kept reading the instructions, and I was like, oh, oops. There was a lot of oops, but we just kept going, and it turned out fine. Just powered through.
I want to just point out, I pointed this out before we started, but I wanted to get in the spirit. I have my little vial necklace, and I wore my poison ring.
You ready to poison some people up?
I'm ready. Can you tell I love this book? It's awesome. I'm loving it. Or loved it, because I finished.
Yeah. Catherine read a little ahead, so she can't participate in unhinged theories for the week. And she has to control her face when we discuss the unhinged theories.
I'll do it. I went to the doctor, and I had it on my phone, and I didn't have anything to do while I was waiting, so I just read, and then I just kept reading, and then by that point I couldn't stop, so I finished it. Sorry. My bad.
That's fair. I read a little ahead last week because I was so in it, and then I actually read a chapter ahead this week, but luckily I was actually really busy, so that was as far ahead as I could get. Otherwise, I'd probably be a lot further ahead. I had time.
This afternoon. I don't know how y'all do it. At the end of the month, I'm trying to get all my books done for the end of the month.
I was going to say, wait a minute, how you do it. You sent me your reading wrap up. You're still super far ahead of all of us.
I kind of put The Poison Daughter on the back burner because I was like, that's next month. That's my next month because that's when we'll finish it. So I was trying to fly through Dark Age. I didn't realize how many pages was in Dark Age by Pierce Brown. And I was like, oops. So I was doing like a mad dash read to finish it. And I did. And when I finished it, it's when I updated my Goodreads, updated my Fable, and sent you the list. So, what's the name of that book? The Wings That Bind? Yeah, The Wings That Bind. I finished that like the day before. So, I was doing a mad dash read. I had to read like over 150 pages to finish Dark Age by midnight. And I work. So, it was fun.
You're still outpacing us all in books totals for the year.
Yeah.
It's planned out. Scheduled.
I read 3 books. And then 1 book that I read out loud to my child that I counted because it was a chapter book.
It counts when you read the whole thing.
So 4 books. That's all.
I haven't done
and 2 of them were podcast books.
So you rated How to Train Your Dragon a little low? Or
yeah, you really did.
It wasn't as good. It was okay.
That's fair.
It wasn't as good.
It wasn't a bad rating. It was just lower than what I was imagining.
3.5? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Not bad. I was just kind of surprised.
We started the next one, and it's like winter and icy now. So they got like sleigh dragons. So that's interesting. Anyway, sorry.
Sorry about that. Poison Daughter.
So last week we left off with Henry sending Harlow back to her room after she snuck out and saw the hunt for the first time and got to experience that a little bit. So when we start this set of chapters, Harlow, after experiencing the hunt, has decided that she needs to do a little bit more studying up on this area's customs and rules and kind of what to expect, especially with the marriage coming up. So she decides to go to the library.
Wait, is the library and the wedding in this set of chapters?
Yes. Yeah, I didn't realize that the library was in this. I was like, how far back? When did we get? There's a lot. There's so much crammed in to these pages, y'all. Just so much happens. I mean, it's just, the pacing is just so much is happening back to back. But Harlow is realizing how different Mountain Haven is from Lunamead. And again, her people really seem to underestimate Mountain Haven people, because once she finds the library, she's very surprised with how expansive it is. It's almost like, I don't know, it's kind of like city people with like country people. They're like, I bet them people don't read.
Like, little do you know, that's all we do because we don't have fancy things to do. We ain't got nothing else to do. Of course, we're going to read. We may not pronounce it right, but hey.
Depending on the book, most other people wouldn't pronounce it right either.
I may not pronounce it right, but I'm reading it.
That's fair. So she finds a book on the marriage rituals in what is sort of described as, all I could think of was Harry Potter in the restricted section that she wasn't allowed in. So she sneaks the book out and is reading it in the library. And she discovers that the marriage ceremony consists of 3 different parts. You have the vows, you have communion, and you have consummation. So Henry catches her in the library reading said book, and he explains the rituals a little further. The vows are pretty self-explanatory and are fairly traditional. The communion, they have to like sit under a veil together and exchange secrets for like a set amount of time.
I actually thought that was adorable.
It was really cute.
I was like, I would have done that at my wedding.
I know. I was like, that was real cute. We could have done that. Maybe not the consummation part.
Maybe.
No.
That's an absolutely no.
And then they do have the consummation, which is done in front of many a witness. There's a lot of voyeurism that is happening. But not only that, but she will need to find pleasure during the consummation. It's like a requirement. And
I feel like that adds some pressure, but
yeah, which that's something Harlow admits that she's never done with another person, mainly because with like her poison lips and stuff, that she's never really been able to fully relax when she's with a partner, even one that she's like enjoying. So that's just something that she's never experienced, and she's not sure if she's even capable of experiencing. So again, she's feeling extra pressure. And Henry then just Henry's piling on more pressure, because he's like, well, we got to make it believable, because everything is like centered on this, and it's like shows his not only his commitment to her, but then that translates to his commitment to his people and to the fort and their safety. So it's just like he's just piling it on.
But he also seems pretty confident that he's going to make it happen.
But yeah, he's like, I got this. He's like, not only are we going to do it once, we're going to do it twice.
Part of me, though, when I read that, just because, like, I don't know, part of me was like, man, I hope she doesn't. Just, like, not because of anything other than I'm like, just because you were so cocky about it. But that's not true.
Get it?
No worries in that department.
I figured it wouldn't be a problem.
So again, Harlow doesn't believe she can, and Henry has her show him how she pleasures herself while he watches in said library. And afterwards, Henry tells her that she can't fake it during the ceremony, and that there will be a sigil attached to the headboard that absorbs the released pleasure as an offering to the divine, which is what that ritual's for. Is it's like their offering and their blessing to the divine. So
A little weird.
I personally they started arguing, and I personally loved that, Henry's kind of like being cocky about his abilities and what he can do. And at the end, he's like, I can't wait to make you scream. I was like, dang, boy.
Very cocky. Very cocky. His character in general, actually, honestly, both of them, how they react to each other is interesting to me, because It's like they're just lying to themselves the whole time because they're constantly like, I hate this person. And I'm like, in no way do you hate this person. Not even a little bit. You might hate what you have to do. You might hate the job. You might hate what this person stands for, whatever, what this person represents, but you do not hate this person. Like, there's...
Well, and especially with Henry, as we get into like the marriage ceremony and then these chapters immediately after the marriage ceremony, he in so many ways shows how much he is very invested in her and yet still can't admit it to himself.
Oh, Harlow, I'm gonna tell you what. Oh, I love Harlow. Poor thing. She needs so much therapy.
Yes. So Harlow attends a formal dinner that's celebrating their upcoming nuptials, and she's kind of put on the spot and asked to make a little speech. She did way better than I ever could if I was put on the spot. Someone does that to me, and I'm just like, my brain becomes a black hole. There will be so much incoherent crap coming out of my mouth, if anything. I was like, when he did that, I was like, that was rude. Like, give a girl some warning.
Well, she's also like the head. Like, you gotta think she's part of one of the like crazy high up magical families, basically royalty. So she's probably had to do some like impromptu speeches before. I would assume. It comes up later. She has to do another one.
Well, I agree with you. I kind of was thinking that because of her father, how he just put her on the spot about, hey, you're marrying this guy. And she had to play it cool, even though she knew nothing about it. But united front and all.
She was incredibly eloquent on the spot, though.
She was. I was going to say, she manages to give not only a very believable speech, but one that I feel like connected really well with the people. She didn't try to like sugarcoat anything. And she basically just admits that she's not a great choice for this marriage. No one wanted this, but it's their best chance to secure their future and safety, and tells us people that she doesn't expect them to love her or like her or even want any of that. They just need to tolerate her for their own, the good of their own people. So after the speech, Stefan approaches. Man, I really started to hate him through these sets of chapters. But he approaches and begins talking to them, all while Harlow starts to have like another migraine that she's starting to have to fight off. Stefan tries to stir up some shit between Harlow and Henry and everything that's happening and the wedding. And Harlow's able to put him in his place a little bit, but of course that ends up pissing Stefan off. Harlow's attack from her migraine is just coming on stronger and stronger, and Henry notices something is wrong, but Harlow blames it on the wine and tries to like claim she's drunk, has had too much wine, and is very much hiding it because nobody knows about her migraine still, and she doesn't want anybody to know or to appear weak. And she gets Gavin to help her back to her room. They have like this little code thing that was real cute where she like taps her chest and he immediately knows to go help her. I really liked Gavin in these sets of chapters.
Same.
Gavin's a really good character.
So she stays in her room. She ends up staying in her room for like 3 days straight, all while Henry is like freaking out because he knows she was not drunk and he doesn't know why she's stuck in her room. She's trying to say like she's been spreading and having Gavin tell everybody that she's like praying to the divines in advance of the wedding, and he's like, bullshit, you were the least religious person I've ever met. I also really love that Henry was most upset that she took his wolf.
I love Chiron.
So Henry goes out on a run with Carter and Bryce, and Henry's kind of explaining what's happening, that she's locked herself away for all these days and all this stuff, and just trying to get their input on it. Carter ends up telling him that they intercepted a message to her from her family. They read it, and Henry pretty quickly thinks that this, figures out that this must be some sort of code because it references her brother Abel's birthday coming up, and that the family can't wait for her to see her for the birthday or something to that effect. And Henry knows that Abel's birthday was months prior. So none of that adds up. So he's like, obviously something is happening. They're trying to say something to her that he doesn't know what it is. So he's like, we're just going to get rid of all communication that comes for her from the family for now.
How does he know when his birthday is?
He did his research.
Just what they know.
I know it's weird. I guess
I'm
it's
sure they
part of
studied up on
intel.
every family member all that they could. Because they're trying to destroy the family. Like, they're trying to remove them from power.
Yeah.
Be like, so we gotta know, when are they having the birthday parties?
So Stefan and some of his little followers show up while Henry is out with his friends in the woods. And Stefan claims that he could solve his new Karenwell problem with fists, and then continues to say all the other things he could do to her to, like, keep her in her place. Did not love that. Don't love him. Carter helps talk Henry down from probably just absolutely murdering Stefan, which we're kind of told repeatedly through these sets of chapters would be a bad thing for Henry. Which I still am like, would it really though? Would it really?
I'm right there. I'm like, but
We keep being
Accidents
told like if Stefan dies, like somehow Henry's family will be blamed for it, and then Stefan's family can come into power. And I'm like, but Stefan totally deserves to die. Like, let's just
he's stupid enough to where he could die as an accident.
right, just make it look like an oopsies.
Yeah.
Look, he
I'd
fell
be
into
like,
the
"Yeah,
drain.
dude, why
That
don't you try
sucks.
this guy? Have him. Take him.
He fell into the drain. That's
It's like
funny.
that happen all the time.
Yeah.
He ate a poisonous berry. Just ignore the lipstick.
A poisonous berry.
As they leave, the boys are sort of suggesting that maybe Henry has started to catch.
Sorry. I looked up and she has these like family photos up here, and one of them looked like an old picture of my mom for a minute, and so I was like, I took a double take, like just like my mama's hair, like old pictures. Sorry, go ahead.
So Carter
Sorry.
and Bryce kind of suggest, after seeing Henry's response to Stefan threatening Harlow, that maybe he might have caught feelings, which he denies pretty vehemently, that he has no feelings, just a job, nothing happening here.
That's the theme. That's the common theme between both of them. It's just a job.
But they also tell him that, you know, Carter and Bryce are like the eyes on the ground. So they've been keeping an ear out, and knows that she's been receiving a ton of ice to her room while she's been kind of scurried away for 3 days. And they're like, maybe she's got a fever, like maybe she's sick. And so Henry decides that he's going to take her to their well to help her. And one, he thinks it's going to help earn her trust a little bit, so she will confide in him. And also to help her and heal whatever is ailing her, because the marriage ceremony is quite rigorous and she needs to be feeling her best to get through it. So Gavin at first won't let Henry in when he arrives at Harlow's room. But when he tells him about the well, Gavin finally relents. Henry takes her and asks her what is wrong, which she, of course, refuses to answer, avoids all of that question. They end up both getting undressed, and they get into the well. And Henry, during this time, is like, Harlow notices he's like covered in scars. Not just like normal amount of like, I've been in battle scars, but like just riddled with scars. And when Harlow asks about them, Henry tells her about the day the fort fell. And he ends up telling her that he died, like he was dead, and a bunch of them were dead, and that his mother is a resurrectionist and brought him back, which was a big secret because a lot of people knew that someone in the fort was Asher blessed, but they didn't know who or what the power was. And so that was like a super big kind of reveal. Were you guys expecting him to have been dead?
No.
No, I just thought that his blessing kind of counteracted like poison and
Yeah.
Dead.
Or I thought maybe he was like doubly
like
blessed.
his body heals itself, right? That's kind of what I was thinking, but I was wrong.
Yeah. I was like, well, we were off base. I was like,
Yeah,
that's a cool
There
twist.
were a lot of things in this book that I was like, that's cooler than what I thought. Like, I mean, it happened.
Yeah, I hit
a
this
lot.
and I was like, well, that's freaking cool. And then I was like, oh.
That's a twist.
Can't die the same way twice.
And then even how the sister died was a really cool plot point, because she had holy fire. She was the one with holy fire that was protecting everybody. And when the fort fell, she ended up using like all of her magic and burned herself out, basically turning herself to ash in order to save everybody. And that's why she couldn't be brought back like the others were by her mother. So when his mother brought Henry back, and she brought back as many as they could, including like Carter and Bryce and all of them. She prayed to Asher that she never wanted to lose another child, which the only other child she had was Henry. So, which they were then gifted that Henry could never be killed in the same way twice. So they have spent, this was, part to me was really kind of sad for Henry because they spent years just killing him over and over and over and then bringing him back. You know who else needs therapy other than Harlow? Is maybe some Henry.
Henry.
That's got to be traumatizing. Then it's revealed that that's obviously why her poison doesn't work on him, because they'd already poisoned him to death. So he's now immune to that. That was not why I thought he was immune to her at all. There were so many ways that could have gone, and that was not even in the wheelhouse of my thought process.
I just thought he was immune to it because of his magic, his gift. But
He does something really, really cool near the end that isn't that big of a deal. And well, what I mean is, it is a big deal, but it's not like a big plot thing. But I'm not going to say what it is because it's too cool, and I don't want to say it. But it kind of relates to this, and I thought it was really neat. Sorry, that has nothing to do with now, but I'll come back to that.
are we going to read about it in the next set of chapters?
I don't know. I think it's probably going to be the last set because we still have 2 more, right?
Yeah, we're at 50%.
That's a bummer for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool. So there's so much cool to this book. Oh my god. There's a lot of twists.
So after that revelation, Harlow is starting to worry because she always assumed she could just kill Henry. Worst case scenario. Like she could just off him and get out of this whole thing. And now it's looking like she has no escape because this man is like now virtually indestructible. And so she needs a new plan. And she leaves. She wants to leave and go back to her room and try to come up with like a million other ways to kill Henry possibly. She's like, I need plans. So without thinking, she gets up and out of the water. And as she turns to leave, she's revealing her back to Henry. And Henry sees that she is just covered in scars on her back. We get the angry, who did this to you, trope. And the scars are kind of described as like burns in a starry pattern across her back, which I thought was interesting. Is it a spoiler? Is that important? Pattern or the
back is an incredibly big deal. It is a
So we're not going to talk about it, but unhinged theories.
Well, Henry later, when he's talking to his parents, they kind of discuss that they think it's got to be a relative that did this to her.
Yeah.
And they made it very clear that it was described as burns, and only 2 people in her family have holy fire, which is her father and Abel. So I'm thinking it's one of those. And in the very beginning, first sets of chapters, it's alluded to that her father abused her. So I'm going with it's her father. I just don't know why. Like,
right.
I haven't figured that out. Yeah.
What's the motive?
Like, what was the reasoning behind it? And also, I have a question later. It's like at the end of the set of chapters, but I had a question about, like, even just Gavin. What is up with Harlow? Because why does she have Gavin as a bodyguard? Why does Gavin have a super cool protection stuff? Like,
well, each of the siblings have a bodyguard.
were they all gifted with? Were they all gifted with?
I want to know what age he was gifted to her because
when she got her magic.
When she got her scars.
He has been with her since she was a baby.
So I wonder if
he has been with her since she was a baby. And because you see Abel, remember no, not Abel.
I just don't see
Kellen.
Gavin.
You see how he has Ames, and we've seen him already. Ames is his bodyguard. Right? We've seen him. Yeah.
Have we?
So going off of that because we don't get a lot of the different siblings. But going off the fact that she's got one, Kellen's got one, and if I'm not mistaken, I feel like do we know anything about Abel yet?
Just that he's crazy.
We just know he's going crazy.
Okay, so she went and she saw that he went to that whole thing where she goes to his room and he's like losing it.
She sees him having like a night terror almost.
Doesn't he have his bodyguard there?
See, I don't remember that.
I can't remember, but either way, I can't remember. I have to go back and look. But either way, I have a feeling that each of them have a bodyguard.
Okay.
Well, I
It's
know
fine.
her sister had a bodyguard, but he was dismissed when she got married. Like,
Yeah, I think Rafe dismissed
Rafe
him.
was like,
Yeah.
bye. So
Okay, yeah, that was Rafe's thing. Henry
Yeah.
didn't do that.
no, not yet.
So Gavin's really cool.
Well, my thing is she has the bodyguard, but I'm like, how did the scars get there if he was around? Because I just don't see him going along with that. I just
Well,
don't
if it
see
was
him
the
being
father,
a part
though,
of
the
that.
father could have dismissed, like, the father could have sent him away and been like, I'm here now.
The
you know?
father was his employer.
Yeah. So he
There
would have had
is a
access to
lot.
her without him.
That I can't say too much on because that is going to be very important also later.
So Harlow ends up refusing to tell Harlow refuses to tell Henry anything about her scars, and it sounds like she doesn't even fully remember either, because when she's thinking back, she like is only getting flashes, and to me it seemed like she couldn't even remember fully what had happened
I
to
think
her.
she blocked it out.
Which then I'm like, well, if she can't remember that, what else can't she remember? I feel like because then we also get way later in this chapter, we get where she completely blacks out. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening with that? But she finally agrees to tell him why she locked herself away for 3 days as like a compromise, since he shared so much about himself. And so she tells him about her migraines. Henry immediately goes into fix-it mode. He's like trying to figure out what's wrong. What has she done to try to fix it? Which is kind of pissing off Harlow. She's just like, stop trying to fix me. It is what it is, you know. And she just wants the whole subject dropped. Later, Henry does tell his parents what he's learned about her. And they come to the conclusions that, like we were talking about, that the scars must have been done by a relative. And then right after that, the Drained end up attacking the fort, and they lose one of their hunters. And it's revealed that this is becoming way more common of a problem, and that's like part of this marriage contract, is that the Carenwells were supposed to send able-bodied guards to help protect them. And so that's what they're waiting for in this marriage contract. And as soon as that's complete, they'll start their work to eliminate the Carenwells as like leadership over in Lunamead. But they also, I thought it was interesting, his parents won't tell Henry the actual plan. There's just this vague, so we're going to start working to get rid of them, but then won't tell him what it is, because
You find
they're
out
afraid,
the plan later.
they're afraid he's going to reveal it to like Harlow, what's actually happening. And so I was like, I feel
like that's smart to not tell him, because it.
Yes, but I also feel like everybody knows Henry's got feelings except Henry.
Yeah.
The plan is pretty wild, and let me tell you. Yes, it surprised me. You also find out at the very end who Rochelle is, and that surprised me big time.
A lot. Okay.
Yeah.
So many twists that we are in for.
A lot of
twists.
twists. There's like at least like 3 off the top of my head that completely threw me for a loop. I mean, completely. So, I mean, and you find, that she really pushes it until like the last possible second
end.
to like, yeah. I was over here like, how many pages are left? It wraps up very beautifully, but sorry, go ahead.
I kept getting distracted. I was like, what are y'all doing over there? It's okay.
It's the ugly cookie. There a lot of them are ugly because they spread out and they all stuck together.
I got a quarter piece.
I was like, it looks like a square.
It was honestly, it was like a cookie cake at the end because they were all together.
Like, it looks like a White Castle patty.
I'm sorry,
but
I was like, I'll eat it.
I'm surprised she didn't get distracted earlier when Binks was up here, and like Binks has never gotten that close to me and was just staring at me, and I was like, is she gonna jump on my head?
Okay, so the wedding day, they get to the wedding day. They do their vows that they agreed on in advance, with Harlow going first, but then when it's Henry's turn, at the very last second, he changes his vows. And he ends up adding that he swears to protect her from harm and bring justice to any who have done her wrong. Which I was like, that's interesting.
I also found that interesting.
And he never really says why he does that.
Well, he hadn't done it yet, which we still have a lot of the book to cover. But I'm like, excuse me, Stefan. I know this will come up later, but he needs to fix that. But Stefan has done her wrong, and he needs to get on that.
Well, and at first I was like, he did that because he saw her scars, and he was kind of pissed about it. But he's still kind of acting like he ain't got no feelings. I was like, you don't swear something like that if you don't catch feelings. And then I was like, did he do it to try to like earn her trust?
It's not love yet. He's still seeing black and white.
So then, after the vows, then we get to the communion, and this is where Henry makes her pick a safe word, and then they exchange their secrets. Harlow's is how, when she kills all these men as the poison vixen, that they were all abusers, and explains kind of like her thought process behind why she was doing that. And she tells him about Rafe and what Rafe was doing to her sister, and that she couldn't touch Rafe, so she was going after these other men. And then Henry tells her why they actually did the marriage contract, or at least part of it. And that's that they need an heir with holy fire, and she was basically the last resort of her family to be able to do that with. But Harlow is able to tell that it's not completely the truth. And she calls him out on it, but their time is up, and so that part of the ritual is also complete.
Which that kind of bugs me, because I feel like every time that they open up to each other, she gives him really valuable information. And he lies. Consistently, when the two of them are in a situation where they're having a deep conversation and one of them is opening up about something, he is only giving her like a partial bit of something, and she is giving him everything.
Well, I don't know, when they were at the well, that was a big deal to tell what his mother's power was, tell him how he died, all the people that died, that they were resurrected, how his sister died, all the ways that he's been killed. Like, that was like a big one, and she did not reciprocate well. Except like with the migraines, which I feel like eventually that was going to come out anyways. Like, you don't stay married to someone and be able to hide that.
That's true, but I feel like other than that, it's been very one-sided. I don't know.
That's fair. That is fair. So,
but the wedding was true. That was a big one.
Before they go to consummation, they have like a little dinner, like a normal wedding, like a little reception, during which
the food. Jesus.
During which Harlow is just sitting there trying to come up with new ways to kill Henry. And just trying to, she's just making a checklist. She ends up spelling out in her food, infection, ? And she's just, which I was like, that's a good one. I wouldn't have thought of infection. Just over there, she's like, can you die of gangrene? Has that happened yet?
And communicating this through the way of noodles.
Yes, it was cute. I laughed.
She's very adorable.
It took me a minute when he was like, she was spelling it out in the noodles. I'm like, what is she doing over there? And then I was with her.
And she's always so joyful when she...
So while prepping for the consummation, her lady's maid situation, I don't know what she was. I think her name was Cora. She was helping her get ready. I just clocked her up to a lady's maid. I was like, that sounds like that. I've been watching The Empress.
Trouble later.
They always do. Them ladies, maids, no, they are...
Cora, she tells too much tea for her own good.
I'm not surprised, because one of the ladies' maids are the ones that spilled the beans about, oh my gosh, she asked for ice when she was having her...
That's true.
Yeah.
I bet it was Cora.
It probably was.
Honestly,
migraine.
Every historical drama I've ever watched, it's always the servants that spill the tea. They ain't got nothing better to do.
Downton Abbey wouldn't be a show without the servants.
To be fair, what Cora ends up spilling, she assumed was a known fact, and it was in fact not a known fact. So, poor thing.
So she tells Harlow that because she's like giving her stuff for bleeding, and Harlow's like, no, honey, I'm not a virgin. Like, you don't got to worry about that. And she's like, oh no, it's for your hand. And she's explaining that she's going to put her hand on the sigil and it's going to cut it. And so it's like a blood situation that she has to put her bloody palm on there and offering while she's orgasming. So when she's ready, Gavin comes to get her. She sends Gavin away, which for this part of the ceremony, which I think, yes, it makes sense. Like,
he's literally like almost a dad to her. No,
right?
Yeah,
it would
not that Henry's parents were there. So,
but they were
can you imagine?
No, they were far on the outside. His parents
They're still in the
room. They were not part of it though.
I don't care how far away
Were
you
they
are.
on
They're
the-
in the room.
I didn't think that they were in the room.
Yes.
I thought they were on the other side of the door.
No, they were in the room just as far away from the bed as possible.
Considering that you were like afraid to tell your parents that you were pregnant because you were afraid, you were like, they don't need to know how that.
No, 100%, 100. But even beyond that, okay, her new in-laws in the room. Ugh. No.
Bryce and Carter just up there front row.
They're like, sorry. They're like giving off like instructions. Go that way.
Didn't they do that like back in the day in the olden times?
Yeah.
Kings and queens.
Yeah, but I don't know if it was the parents.
I don't know.
I think it was. I think everybody filed into the room and watched, including like religious figures. How would you like your archbishop in there just taking notes?
This was the part. This part I just did not.
You're not big on the voyeurism?
I will say, at least for her, and she brought this
it's
up
great
in the book,
that she
at least
enjoyed
for
herself.
her, it was mostly strangers.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think, and like for Henry, this is very much a part of their customs and culture, even with like the
He
hunt.
grew
So
up
like,
around it.
yeah, he's not phased. He's pretty comfortable. And for her, like, she honestly didn't even seem that phased by it. She just didn't want Gavin there. She's like, everybody's fine, but you get out. So she sends Gavin.
He didn't want to be there. He said,
No.
bye.
He's like, she sends
I
Gavin
think
away.
he thought he was going to be outside the door.
Yeah.
He said that.
I thought his parents were going to be outside as well.
Maybe, hold on.
Look it up. Anyway, you go ahead, Mary. We'll
I'll
look it up.
So they're surrounded by people. They are wearing masks at least to kind of like semi-hide their identities a little bit. And they're watching as they complete this ceremony. Harlow does end up climaxing twice. So good for Henry. He did a great job. And on the last offering where she puts her hand to the sigil, they end up breaking the sigil, which Henry says has never happened before in all of the centuries of them doing this ritual. Does that come important, Catherine?
The fact that she broke the sigil, it's mentioned a few times in like, you broke the sigil. But like, it's not like a big.
Yeah, well, I wasn't sure with like being
talk about-
divine and being blessed by that God. I didn't know if that would come up later.
It's their chemistry.
Yeah.
Like, people are saying that obviously they have like pretty out of this world chemistry to break a centuries old sigil.
But yet he's not in love. He's
Neither is
still
she.
got the black and white vision.
So the next morning, Harlow asks to go for a run to stretch her legs. She's getting a little stir crazy. Henry tells her that it's dangerous and that once again we get that like, if you run, I'll chase you thing, which has come up. It came up repeatedly in the first set of chapters, and then we're getting it again in this set of chapters. But we get a little bit of an explanation this time because he says that if she does run, he basically has to chase her. And that he would be expected, like he's going to catch her no matter what. And he would be expected to like screw her into submission on the forest floor, which he knows she's not ready for, nor would she want. So instead he ends up taking her to an art gallery, which Bryce and Carter act later like this is kind of a big deal. But it doesn't say why it's a big deal. They just kind of act really astonished that he took her to the art gallery. So I'm not sure if that comes up later or if that becomes a big deal.
Yeah, because when it becomes questionable, they're like in the art gallery. I think it was Carter that was like, the statue one or the picture one
Or the painting ones.
the painting one.
And when he's
yeah.
like, the paintings, he's like, it's not what you think. And I was like, what does that mean?
I know, yeah, the whole conversation. I was with Gavin on like, what? What's in there?
It does say your mother. Wait, what?
Okay, go ahead. So
The art
Your
gallery.
mother by the door, so we're
They're
as
by
far
the
away
door.
from the ceremony as possible. So not outside the door, but near the door. I'm assuming the door is as far away.
In the back.
as far away as humanly possible.
Yeah. What were you guys talking about? The paintings and what?
So when they go to the art gallery, but afterwards, when Henry has mentioned that he took her there, Carter and Bryce were surprised. They acted surprised
They were shocked.
that they were shocked and that he took her to see the paintings. And immediately Henry's like, it's not what you think. But then that's like all that's mentioned. Like it kind of sounds like him taking her there was sort of a big deal.
Yeah, because when they were trying to find her, he had said, well, I took her to the art gallery. And instead of, oh, that's nice, they were surprised, but one said, which one? Like, or kind of like the painting one or the statue
Or the statues.
Or the statues. So,
And he was like, the
and
paintings, but it's not what you think.
yeah.
And I was like, what does that mean? That can't mean nothing. So
This is when
in the art gallery is filled with paintings that his sister, who was apparently twice blessed, had painted. And her paintings are like magic infused. And so they interpret feelings and change to represent those feelings. So each of those paintings are going to shift and change. And so as Harlow is in there, she sees one of the paintings and it morphs into a blood stain, which freaks her out. And she bolts. But then I did laugh at this part too, because she bolts, but she's like, I'm not ready. And Henry's like, I get it. Like, that's everyone's least favorite because it apparently shows you hidden parts of your heart. And I was like, I feel like that's important too, but I don't know what any of it means.
Right. I'm right there with you. It was like another clue.
Yeah. Catherine's
So
just
many
like, I'm not saying a word. I'm just going to keep flipping through.
She's over here like, I know it's in the art room.
I know what those paintings mean.
it's not as big of a thing as you think, but it is important. I don't know if that on the scale of massively important things that happened, it's included in one of the things, but it's not one of the things, if that makes sense.
But it's going to come back
of the
up.
whole.
Yeah.
Yes.
That makes sense. So Henry shows Harlow his wedding present to her, which he got her, which...
That comes back. Clock this.
Okay. So Harlow kind of laughs because she's like, you got me a closet. But it's like a safe room. It's a small room, and it's blood locked to where only she can get into it, and no one else can get in there, and it's to keep her safe. Harlow takes immediate advantage of this, and she goes in, and she makes Henry stay out and watch while she pleasures herself. And then Henry is trying to lure her out, and he's like, look, I got you more gifts. And he brings over a box that's filled with like toys and books, which Harlow is curious about and is kind of lured closer to the door. And she's really curious about the books, which he explains is a collection of like these erotic stories that have been passed down. And they're often told at the Reigning Star Bar, where people will recite these stories for everyone. After she makes it seem like she's going to come out of the room, and Henry's out there just mentally contemplating all the things he's going to do to her once she's out of the room. But as soon as she gets there, she thanks him for her gifts and just slams the door in his face. So Henry leaves, and he meets up with Bryce and Carter at a bar and is kind of, chatting with them. Bryce is saying how much he enjoyed the ceremony. And I was like, there's some things we just don't say. And to your friends, can you imagine?
No. As for me, that would be you guys. I can't.
And Carter clocks how Henry looks like he wants to kill Bryce, which like they're all best friends. And Henry ends up telling them about her being the poison vixen and the type of men they went after, which Bryce and Carter apparently kind of had their ear to the ground and knew a little bit about what was happening, but they didn't realize it was her. But while they're having this chat, Gavin shows up pissed. And he's irritated that Henry hasn't shown him all of the ways out of the different rooms, which Henry's like, why does it matter? Of course I'm not going to do that. And he's like, well, I have to protect Harlow. And he's like, well, that's my job now. And Gavin's like, well, Harlow disappeared. So they're discussing where they think she could have went. That's where we get like that interaction about the art gallery being, kind of interesting. But then Henry figures out that she probably went to the Raining Star bar because she was pretty interested in that when he was talking about it. So she's probably gone to hear the stories. Harlow, in the meantime, has glamoured herself into a blonde, and she does go to that bar, and she listens to a story about the Deathless, which I started to I don't know. But I was listening to the story, and it seems interesting because at first I'm like, cool, it's a story about the Drained, except they're not the Drained, because the Drained now are kind of weird and gross and gray and clawy and animalistic, but these were not in the story. They were very much described kind of like what Henry is. Because so they're called the Deathless. They're more human than animalistic in behavior, which is what Henry is. They chase the girl through the woods and have super rough sex with her, which is kind of what their rituals are. They talked about how they're they're not really of either world. They're born of both worlds but don't belong to either one. They're not of the living and the dead. And because they were dead and brought back, are they the Deathless? And not the Drained? Was this a story about them?
I don't know.
Catherine's like, I don't know.
I don't know, because
it's a great question. So she meets.
I would say maybe to just keep the story in your noggin for later.
So she meets a man at the bar. His name is Brennan. He's just this guard. He's drunk. He's trying to impress the ladies. So he starts talking to Harlow and, telling her some stories, trying to talk himself up. And he reveals that they have a Drain captured and is being held to study because,
Record, I like Brennan. I just wouldn't hire him for security.
No.
But I thought he was really sweet and very, just cordial and didn't force himself. He was just trying to impress a girl. That's all it was. Probably
He's just a
shouldn't be
dork.
working for the CIA, though.
He's like, let me tell you all our inner secrets.
Covert, undercover or something mission. Because he's going to be like, you're pretty... Guess what we have in the basement? So, but no, in his face when Henry shows up, too, was wild. Because he was just like, oh, no, I swear. I didn't do anything.
I didn't do it. I didn't know she was yours.
I didn't know. I'm so sorry. This is hard.
So he explains that they've captured a Drained and that they've been trying to do this because they have discovered that some of the Drained are different than the other Drained, and they are a little bit more cunning and the rest are kind of feral, right? They're just out for blood. That's in this they're not really there. There's no coordination. There's no thinking process. They just go into this rage for blood. But these others are working together. They're coordinating. They're making plans. And they had been going in and capturing women. And we're tying these women up and we're breeding them and trying to create an entirely new species. Which was also really icky. But, so Harlow's asking him questions, right? Harlow gets him to go upstairs so they can talk privately. And she gets him to, tell him everything. Where they've got him. The man can't keep a secret. So, she pretends, that the story has made her feel very, very, very sick. She needs a minute.
I love this sentence. It says, Brennan must see the horrified look on my face and realize this is not at all a good foreplay story.
So she leaves under the guise of I need some fresh air. And she immediately is I'm going to the armory to find this thing. And she wants to get eyes on it. When she gets to the armory, though, Stefan and two of his friends had followed her there and end up trapping her. I will say, these ending sets of scenes and chapters came back. They were there's so much that happened in such a very short time. And I also had a very hard time picturing how the armory was set up and where I did get that there was an upper like catwalk situation, and the drain was down here somewhere, but there was also like a door and some gates.
I have a hard time envisioning the height of
Yeah.
the.
I couldn't. This is where we need the fan art people to just really do us a solid and make the scene, because I was just like, yeah, sure, that's happening. Like, I was just going along. Even in the reread for the recap, I was like really studying it. I'm like, I still don't really know where anybody was. And at one point, I thought Stefan and Joe or somebody, just Stefan and maybe Brody, whatever the other guy's name was. I thought they were still upstairs, but then they ended up downstairs. And I was like, I don't know where anybody is anymore.
Well, I think they went down when Gavin went down. So I will say that. Oh, no, you're talking about Stefan.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about.
I was flowing with it. I read straight, like, it was a great scene.
I think they fell. They fell with her. So when they were on the catwalk and Stefan was attacking her, she was doing that, like, Tai Chi type of motion where she was like, oh, you're coming at me, and she allows it. And she flips him, and he's kind of going over, and she's holding onto him, and they're both like dangling, right?
But that was her and one other guy
for holding them.
Oh, okay. So they all went over?
Yeah, okay. Her and Stefan went over, and Stefan's friends were holding on to her, and when Henry burst through the door, everyone got surprised and they toppled all over, and Henry saw everybody fall, because when Henry opened the door, he saw his wife dangling over the edge with Stefan.
No,
she was already down there.
I don't think so.
Right here, my relief lasts a split. I grab Joe for support, but the movement drags him off balance. He's much taller, so when he hits the railing, he tips right over. My relief lasts a split second until he grabs my waist, and we both tumble down to the floor below.
That's her point of view. Wait till you get to Henry. Henry bursts in, and he sees her dangling there. That's her point of view. So you got to keep reading till Henry finds her.
Get on it, Catherine.
Get on it.
Because I was pretty sure she was down there between the drained and
Gavin and I.
She does, yes. But
hold on. I'm not sure what I expected to find, but it's not Stefan, Lawrence, and Roland Hazra leaning over the observation railing, reaching for someone on the first floor. It's not the breeder loose from its cage, and it's definitely not my wife in a shredded silk dress facing down a monster with only a small blade in her hand.
So she's down there. They're just leaning over trying to get to her.
They are leaning over. Yeah.
I don't even know that they're trying to get to her. I think that...
Well, I think they were trying to get to the other guy.
Yeah. They were trying to get to him.
Harlow stands between the creature and the three men, her gaze fixed on the barred first floor door.
So you get, Stefan and his two friends follow her in. They get into, like, this big scuffle. In the end, amongst the scuffle, Harlow and, I think it's Joe, go over the railing. Because they're, like, up above. And they fall below where the breeder is. And they're down on this, like, first level, stuck with the breeder. But the breeder does not attack her. Or the other guy at first. He's, like, really just kind of watching the situation, which was kind of interesting. Meanwhile, Henry's panicked. He's looking for her. Gavin admits that she's able to glamour and tells him about the necklace and, like, how she does that. And they're able to figure out that not only has she been at the bar, but she went upstairs with Brennan. And Henry gets mad about the wrong things sometimes, because he's big mad that she went upstairs with a man. Like, not that she disappeared to go look for a breeder. She's like, you went upstairs with a man, So he's very jealous. Brennan admits what he revealed, and they end up going to go find her. They discover the scene of her trapped with the breeder and Joe. And then Stefan and Roland are also there. Like I said, I got a little confused at the scene, so my recap's not great. They end up all kind of down there, right? Like Stefan and Roland and Joe and her. Meanwhile, the rescue crew is all up top trying to figure out how to rescue her. And at some point, like, Gavin reveals, like, he's like, I can help. And so Gavin, Carter, and Bryce are discussing how to get her out. Gavin goes around the outside to a door that's bloodlocked. And so Henry yells down to Harlow that she's got to let Gavin in and then to run. But Harlow doesn't run. And in her little inner monologue thing, she explains that she's worried if she does that the breeder's going to get out and chase her, and then the breeder will be loose on the fort. So she's also kind of thinking of the people and trying to keep them safe, even if it puts her in a bad situation.
She also mentions previously, and I'm only saying this because I feel like we need to be aware of all the ones that are blessed this way, that Joe and Stefan are palm blessed. Throw that out there too.
Yeah, so
God of
they're
malice.
palm, but also they're kind of affecting her emotions. They're throwing fear.
Yeah, they're
at
making her scared. Yeah.
Yes, so that the drained will be enticed, or I guess the breeder, I should say, would be enticed to go after her. She's already bleeding. They're throwing fear at her, which they're also attracted to. But it's also
She's got 2
important
broken
to clock.
ribs or something.
Yeah, and it's important to clock that Henry noticed the breeder wasn't even looking at her, despite all of those things. He was looking at Gavin, the most powerful person in the
And
room.
apparently, they attack the most powerful person in the room, and Gavin's the most powerful, which I think is because he had
Holy
the
fire.
holy fire, even though he's not blessed.
Right.
He just has access to it.
But it registered his power. But I don't
Yeah.
think we've seen all from Gavin yet. I think Gavin has more to him than just that thing. There's more.
Yes.
Yes.
So
Not like a ton more,
That's a
but
lot.
there is
No, I'm
there
just
is more, yeah.
He's Rochelli.
Stefan ends up trying to escape by kind of going through Harlow.
Spoiler alert, Gavin is not Rochelli.
Stefan tries to escape by going through Harlow, and she ends up fending him off and is about to poison kiss him when Joe grabs her and pins her. She snaps and completely blacks out for like a minute. And when she wakes up, she's straddling Joe and stabbing him in the neck. I have no idea what is going on with Harlow. I don't even have a good unhinged theory. I don't like.
Is she going crazy? I don't know. That's the first time we've heard of her just blacking out like that. So I don't know what to make of that yet.
I don't either. That was pretty wild. So she lets Gavin in, who kills the breeder with holy fire, and so it's kind of revealed that he has this holy fire. Henry rushes to her, worried about her being covered in blood. She explains that it's not hers, that it's Joe's. He's of course angry. She tried to kiss another man, and she's like, she was like, it was like to poison him, like he was coming at me, and he was like, use your hands.
But before he says hands,
She kisses him. Which then
So
Gavin
that-
freaks out because he thinks she's trying to kill her husband. And so she's like, wait, no. He's
love
immune.
Yeah, because Gavin doesn't even know that she can use her hands. The
Yeah.
only person in the room that knows she can use her hands to poison is Henry.
Yeah.
And she was like, shut up.
I
So,
also find it interesting that the breeder spoke.
Yes.
yes.
Breeders can talk.
You don't scare me, death touched.
Death touched.
And then he says,
Which
doesn't-
one does he say that to? Oh, he says that to Henry.
He says it to Henry. Henry's face betrays no shock, but his aura flares out wide. Clearly, he has never heard a drained one speak. I should scare you, Henry says. You're standing between me and my wife. The drain makes a low sound like a rasping laugh. She doesn't smell like yours.
I thought that was weird. She doesn't
What does that
smell
mean?
like yours. I know. What does that mean?
I actually don't.
Catherine's like, I don't know.
I mean,
I don't.
yeah.
I'm assuming it has to do with the fact maybe that, like, maybe she's not... Well, he's a breeder, right? Like, does she have to be pregnant? Like, I don't know, like, what they're...
Yeah.
So, something like...
But Gavin explains how he got his magic, and he's not blessed like they are, but Harlow's father gave him what sounds kind of like a tattoo that is infused with magic, kind of like Harlow's necklace is from her sister, but they put it in this like inked sigil because he couldn't lose it in battle or anything like that. It was a little bit more permanent. And he has like rules attached to it. He can only use the holy fire to protect Harlow. Harlow has to be in danger, which is why they've apparently trained and choreographed how they train to actually make sure that he always puts, like, they will configure so he's always in between her and a danger so he can use it. Even if she wasn't originally in danger, they'll like coordinate so that way he can use it. So in the aftermath, they have to deal with how to explain why Joe's dead, because all of these people are important in the fort and none of them, like, it's going to look bad on Henry that any of them end up dead. And so now they're trying to like do some damage control and make it so it doesn't hurt Henry. Eventually, Harlow suggests that it needs to be blamed on her and that she lured Stefan there to seduce him because she's like, everybody will believe it. They already hate me. They think I'm a whore. Like, let's just do this. And everybody jumps on board. Gavin jumps on board. Bryce and Carter are like, yeah, that'll work. And Henry's like, no, absolutely not. Like, it's going to put her in more danger. People will hate her. Like, we're not doing this. But everybody's like, this is like all we got. So that's what they end up going with as the best option. And then Harlow ends up going back to the house to take a bath. Henry barges in to check on her. He heals her ribs. And afterwards, he insists that he's like, has to protect her and keep her safe. And that, like, that's his job. Which Harlow, again, is kind of irritated by because she's like, that's not your job. You can't promise that, you know, whatever. And he tells her that she needs to, like, come sleep in his bed. But she takes his wolf again and just goes to her bed. And that's where we leave off this week. That was the end of these chapters.
And slams the door in his face.
She's big
Again.
on slamming doors in his face.
Door slam.
And taking his wolf. She's like, let me just take your little doggy. And away we go.
How rude.
So what are you guys thinking?
I don't even know.
We're halfway. I feel like there's still a whole lot more that we don't know to be able to make educated guesses.
And honestly, so I read the next chapter and I had more questions after the next chapter, even more so, because I was like, what now? Like, what is happening? So I'm excited. Yeah. I mean, I've been excited since the beginning, but like each set of chapters, I just get more excited to keep going because I want to know what's happening. I want answers to my questions.
What are we reading to next?
So next week is chapters 34 through 50.
Okay, 50. Woo!
50. Does Henry see color at the end? If he doesn't see color, I'm going to riot.
Well, she's not going to answer that. But my guess...
If you really want me to answer, I'll answer.
Don't answer it.
Not when we're recording.
Okay. We'll talk about it a little after.
So okay, look, my unhinged theory with that is that yes, he's gonna see color. But I bet you she's gonna draw that out. It's gonna be like the last sentence, right? Like, and in the end he sees color and they live happily ever after. The end. I don't know. I feel like he is gonna see color, but I feel like it's gonna be the last thing possible. But I could be wrong. For all I know, he could get color in the next 2 chapters and be like, there you go. The whole plot's been changed. And it's going to assist with whatever it is that they're doing with the drain. I have no idea. So,
what are we
but
thinking?
I'm excited.
So, obviously, you enjoyed it, Catherine, because you flew through it and you finished it. So
it's a 5 for me. I'll repeat that when it's time for us to do our reviews and stars.
For me,
and I can say, and when we do our star ratings, I can also say why. Because I can't really say
why. For me right now,
I think it's super unique, and it's not...
It is a very fresh story.
Yeah, and it's like, it's not predictable. There's so many things I have guesses, and then I get to it, and I'm like, well, okay. But it's not out of, like, it's not this weird out of left field. She gave you hints. I just didn't put the puzzle pieces together right.
There was one thing, there was one thing that I predicted that was right about, but was so funny about it. I was right about it, and then turned around, and there was something that had to do with that was way bigger than what I ever thought. It was, like, even bigger.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, well, the joy of me being right. I was like, ha! And then I was like, oh, wait.
Yeah, I don't love when things aren't predictable. Like, you don't want them to be super predictable, but you also don't want everything coming out of left field and, like, you weren't given... Like, there's no way you could have guessed that, you know, because you just threw it at,
with this book, when things happen, it makes sense. When you find out, it makes sense.
Yes.
But in the moment before that, when leading up to it, it's still a surprise, but it's one that you're like, got it.
I love the surprises as long as it makes sense, even if it's out of left field, but it makes sense in
With
their
the
world.
plot.
Right. Like, I'm like, you know what? There was a clue with that. I just didn't get it. Kind of like with the scene with the art room and everything. Like, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to putting everything together.
No complaints. I feel like it's very well written. It's very well paced. It's very complex. It's very unique.
Yeah.
So and it's like it's a good time. Like I'm having a lot of fun reading it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm like,
and the
there was
spicy
one thing
spicing.
it is, yeah. Even when it's not spicy, it's spicy.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of talk about spicy.
Yeah.
There was one thing towards the end, and when we get there, I'll tell it that I thought was a little out of left field for me. But then it like what you said, it still made sense. But I was like, whoa, was not expecting that. And then, but once it gets explained, you're like, oh, well, actually, that actually is really cool. So no, it's I love that it's so fresh, and it's not something that, like, I feel like your MMC is different, your FMC is different. I actually love that we're addressing kind of some traumatic pasts, because I feel like it's relatable, not necessarily to the extent that's in this book for some, but like it's very like and you'll see later even more. I feel like mental health plays a big factor.
It just dawned on me. I'm sorry. So remember, okay, to handle the situation of what happened with Stefan and all of them, you know how they were talking about how are we going to cover this up, right?
Yeah.
And there were different theories, different ways thrown out there. And I remember Harlow was kind of like, well, can't you just erase their minds?
Yeah, but Carter did not have that power.
He did not. But her sister Electra
does.
And she's having a hard time remembering things. I don't know. That might be a clue. I don't know. Is it a clue? Does erasing memories and... It was just a random line. But anyway, sorry. It was a squirrel moment because I'm like, we're sitting here talking about unhinged theories, and it just dawned on me, you know what? I wonder if that's going to come back into play.
I feel like in this book there are almost no unhinged theories, because it gets really, like, there are things that happened and I was like, holy crap. Like, it is so, gosh, it's so good.
And honestly, I do enjoy that. I'm enjoying both Harlow and Henry just as characters, and their relationship. And I'm never really irritated with them, other than the fact I'm like, admit you like each other. But otherwise,
I like the banter. They're both good spirited, even though they both claim they want to kill the other. It's cute.
Which, I mean, I think on paper they do want to kill each other, but I think that's where they're having struggles, is because they do have a lot of chemistry. They do seem to like each other's company, but technically they hate each other. Or not hate each other, they hate what that person symbolizes, right? So, like, for Henry, she represents the death of his sister, the death of, like, a lot of people in his life. And then for her, I think that he just kind of represents a cage. I mean, she's having to do, her family's bidding, and I think that she's just pretty tired of that, and honestly, I get it. And it's just, there's so many levels to it. It's multifaceted. I really enjoy it.
So it's April now. Technically, it's April Fool's Day. I haven't been super April Fooled except freaking Pierce Brown's one.
What did he do? What did Pierce Brown do?
He posted that he was going to shelve Red God and write Romantasy. But the way it was written as a press release, it did get me for a minute. And then I was like, wait a minute.
Y'all, Dark Age. Okay, so here's the thing. He's an amazing writer, and he does write gory bits gory. But I don't know if I've just been deconditioned or not even that, but you know what I mean? Like, I'm just like reading it and I'm seeing these things. But Dark Age, for some reason, his battle scenes and his ways of killing people have been brutal. I mean, enough to the point where it's actually like, wow, this is making me like do a double take at what I'm reading. And Dark Age is dark. It is dark.
I started the Silversmith.
Are you liking it? I have that. I haven't read it yet though.
I want to say I'm 4% through. Not very far. 4 or 5% through. I
Solid start.
just started. I just started when I was putting Noah to bed last night. Because that's when I have to read like phone books. Is when I'm in the dark. So I got 5% through. The female main character so far is seems pretty. I don't want to say weak, but she's different.
All right. No, go ahead. She's different.
She is. She's different. But I think that there's a lot to her. So I think that it's going to be one of those that you find out more as you go. She's been rescued by some handsome stranger who seems to know her, even though she doesn't know him. And so I'm interested to see how that plays out.
That's good. You know, that's
You guys-
quite a bit. 5%.
5%.
5%. That's pretty good. The plot's plotting.
It is. The mom has disappeared. All she has is vegetable broth. Wolf just killed her chickens.
Oh my God. Bless.
She's really struggling. She tried to get some bread. She only had 2 coins, needed 3. The guy tried to get her to do some like sexual favors. She was like, nope. And then she goes back home. She's all hungry and cold. And then long lost whoever that she was like friends with. She shows up. Don't know what she's about, but she's there. And then she goes out to get to feed the chickens. Finds a wolf with chicken, and then a handsome stranger who's described half up, half down, very strong, is like
Like
I
a
found.
man bun situation?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, a mullet?
he's like, I found you, and she's like, what? And then he picks her up, and that's where I left off. So, I don't know.
I feel like I need to be playing one of those games on my phones where if I match 3 of the things, her life will get better. You know, she was just like, her chickens are eaten. She
She's
only has
calm.
vegetable broth. It's 3 coins, only has 2. You know, there's like, you see those ads on Facebook where it's a matching game. You gotta
Yes.
line things up to help them.
Yeah.
The whole thing
It
was
was.
that.
She honestly, like, times are tough. Her mom left like 8 weeks ago, something like that. The mom was not a very loving person.
Can we get matches, please?
It was, yeah. It's been rough, and
It is 5%.
she's untrained, so she doesn't know how to fight people, much less wolves.
Oh, no.
And she's, bless her heart, she's struggling. She's struggling, but I'm assuming that I feel like she's gonna end up being like, I already have a theory at this point, 5% in, she's got to be some sort of royalty because her dad's not her dad, and like I'm like, your dad's gonna be like the king or something. It's gonna be something like that. I don't know, but I am liking it. Yeah,
That's a wild ride for 5%.
it's a wild ride for 5%. It was a lot. I mean, it's certainly like, I feel like it's a little less dramatic than Saris like stealing that thing and her like running on top of a wall right there at the beginning of Quicksilver. But it's still very dramatic, and I'm like that. I'm gonna keep going with it.
That's wild.
That and Finish Line, baby.
What should I read next?
What you got?
Pretty
Okay.
Girls. Karen Slaughter. It's a horror. Well, or a thriller.
Is it?
Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter.
Pretty girls.
All right. This was actually one of my anticipated reads for the year. It's a cozy read, but it's Mystic Cat Shelter. Yes, cozy read. So, okay, so we got thriller, a cozy read, We Who Will Die.
You gotta read that.
Yeah.
It was so good.
And then, of course, Blood Over Brighthaven.
So you're trying to choose your next read?
Yes.
I vote for We Who Will Die just because I read it and I loved it, and I need
Okay.
somebody to talk about it with.
Okay.
But I
will-
also know you're coming out of Dark Ages, so you might want something cozy. We
Well, I
Who Will
gotta
Die
jump in.
isn't like,
Next book.
it's obviously not cozy, but it is fun. So at least it's fun.
He just appears. I mean, his whole writing is like an April Fool's joke. He'll be like, "This happened. Just kidding. It didn't." He'll be killing off characters, then bringing them back, and then killing off characters for real. And he'll be like, "I'm going to make you hate this character," and you do. And then he'll like do this little thing where they kind of worm your way back into your graces, like, "Oh, he's not so bad," and then you're like, "You know what? Die." And then
You'd be like, well, if I remember right, I didn't like you before anyway, so it's fine.
And then sometimes you're like, man, that person got what they deserved. And it's just the Dark Age. It was just it was brutal in some of these scenes, and I was just like, there's a lot of gore. I don't know where it just popped up all of a sudden. It's not like war hasn't been happening since book 1, but this one was just really over the top. Like, man did his duty in killing people in the ways that he did it.
I am hoping to finish Red Rising this month. That is my goal, is to finish Red Rising, the first book, in April. And I would also like to read, I hate this name.
There's like, oh.
I also would like to read Project Hail Mary if I have some time.
Oh, okay. Look at you. Yeah. I recommend it. But, so I read it. I did not think the math was too bad. It's just one of those things you read and you accept. You know what I mean?
And
I don't know if it's right, but we're going to go with it.
So my goal is Red Rising, Silver Smith, Project Hail Mary, this 4th How to Train Your Dragon with Christopher. And then I don't know.
And then what about you, Mary? What are you going to read?
I'm reading Finish Line too, but that's not done.
I know. It's not done.
My TBR is like overflowing.
Well, you have to pick your book, right? Do you want to pick your book? Your mystery, the ones that you gave your gift where you wrapped it up?
I did pick that one. I opened that. So I need to finish the 3rd On Wings of Blood, whatever that is, something that binds. I don't know.
Rachel,
I'm halfway through.
She wasn't liking it.
I got to read it too.
I am liking it more. I mean, I wasn't disliking, I was just struggling because you're getting so many more points of view, and I didn't love all of the points of view.
With the twist that she did not care for.
Yeah, I'm halfway through. I am enjoying it more. I'm like, it's picked up, quite a bit. So I'm halfway through it. I need to finish it. I need to finish my blind date calendar.
Should I read this next?
That's what I'm reading. So, and then my blind date book was that. Do you remember that book I picked up at the local bookstore? It was like kind of like a Stranger Things horror. The kids go into the woods, and there's like a staircase in the woods.
Yep.
And 5 go out and 4 come back.
Ooh, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, so that's I have to read that one this month because that's my whatever book. And then I have 2 arcs I need to finish. I need to finish The Wretched Divine by Adeline Grace, which I've started, and it's fantastic. Oh my God, it's so freaking good. So I have that one and another arc. I don't know if I'm going to have time to read anything else because I've honestly been reading really slow lately, so I don't know. But I have a whole stack on my nightstand of other books too.
I would like to also read We Who Will Die this month. We'll see. I know step up my game with
You want to borrow it?
No, I let you read it. I need to step up my game because Elizabeth had freaking 7 books.
I know. She sent hers, and I was like, damn.
Somebody
I haven't
has
done mine. I honestly don't even know. Let me look at my Goodreads. I don't even know how many I read this last month. I lost track. It doesn't feel like I read a lot, but I'm
telling you, if you end up with like 6 books, I'm going to come to Asheville and just throat chop you. These days, I'm going to show up for our wrap up, and I'm going to have like 10 books, and y'all are going to have like
2.
I don't know, 2. And y'all are going to be like, what? And I'm going to be like, yeah, that's right.
Neither one of us have small children, okay? Neither
Right.
one of us have small children that we need to deal with and demand our time.
I'm just saying.
All right, everybody. We will be back next week discussing chapters 34 through 50, seeing if we get any more theories solved. Catherine's already got them all solved, but
You're not gonna solve it.
I like
well,
that
I don't know.
book
Y'all
mark.
are better than me though.
I made it.
I like it.
It's
Cute.
got that end.
Adorable. Yeah, y'all are better than me, so y'all might solve them. But there was some things. There was only, like I said, there's only one.
I
thing
know
that
she's keeping me on the edge of my seat with this one. I have not. It's a lot of stuff. Just
I was 9 pages out, and I was like, "How are we wrapping this up?"
So between now and chapter 50, will we get the clue to help solve whatever it is that you solved?
You might get that answer. Well, you might get that answer. Hold on.
The clue and the answer?
No, I had that theory. I had the theory that I told you guys.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
Already. I had that a while back, so we had already gotten that.
I think I know what that is, but I don't want to say.
We can talk to it. We can talk to it.
Yeah.
Anyway, till 50. 50?
50.
50.
all right. We will see everybody next week. Bye.
Bye.